I first met Jack when we were 5 years old. His father and my father were both farmers. He was the fourth stop on the school bus. And believe it or not, because of our later affiliations with Mack Truck and Mack, we went on Mack's school bus. We went through school, we graduated. I never went to college as I started in business. And what was so lucky for him is he already had established himself as a night worker and then became the foreman in a tube mill, which was pretty damn neat, I think. We started a company called Cool Springs Evergreen Farms, where we planted Christmas trees, sold Christmas trees when we bought them wholesale from somebody else, and went on to having a small fuel oil business called Suburban Heat. That lasted for a long time, and I kept prying on Jack to come and be with us full time. That finally worked on a snowy day in December about 1960 or 58 or 60. It was ready to snow. We were finishing a grading job. So we went to work with his pickup and mine and some other machines and plows and trucks, and we worked for 24 hours. So that was the beginning of our first real job. After that time, Lee Detwiler came with us and started doing the bookkeeping for us. And then along came Harry Budenz, another junior partner.
Well, the first time I met Jack is when I was dating his sister. Jack was in high school or just about out of high school. Jack was a very, very fine man, probably one of the best men I know. He came from a metal company in Collegeville where he worked before he went with John, and he just took over the financial part of the company, and everything was great. I mean, Jack did a fantastic job, very much involved in the company.
When I first met him, he came around, he was looking for John. And he was in I believe his first car. And at that time, I probably didn't even have a license to drive a car. And that's how long ago it was. This was the start of friendship, and how I ever fell into that friendship with the rest of them. I guess we all lived fairly close together and within a couple miles, that's it. We were into demolition. Jack helped me get started with that, helped me take down the first building, which was a real experience. If Jack would go out and look at a job, give a price on a job, and then he would give me directions on how to get there. And some of the directions were a little hard to understand because he didn't tell you street names. He told you sites. Look for this, look for that.
Well, the first time I met Jack, when I first came to Haines Kibblehouse, we had a yard in Philadelphia on Keller Hill Street. Harry Budenz was the boss, Ronnie Landis was the foreman, and I came on as a laborer. So I got to get to meet Jack because back then, 45 years ago, we weren't as busy as we were now. So Jack had more time to spend in the city. John had a lot more time to spend out, in the suburbs. So Jack was always around, going over different things, just a real gentleman. He got to show me different jobs, and that's where I first met him. I've never really saw the mean side or the bad side of Jack. If there was a problem or if there was an issue, he always handled it in a good way. Never held a grudge if there was something wrong. I could remember, for instance, we had a job in the city, we tearing a big building down, and they weren't paying our time and material work. So he said to me, what I want you to do is, there's 2 big concrete lines in front of that building. You go get them, bring them back to Skippack. And we had him in the yard here for the longest time. And I guess he caused so much commotion, they made me take him back and he got his money. He said, see, I told you we were gonna get our money.
Jack was a charismatic type guy that he just gave you that big smile of his, and he never had any larceny in his heart. He was just a good person and a wonderful man to deal with the unions and people like that. They all respected Jack, but Jack was a gentle person. He kept us on our toes when we had to come up with contracts. We had to negotiate different pricing structures, and we had to be fair, and he had to be fair. But Jack gave you a little bit of a leash, and then he lengthened that leash and let you make $1. He was a very fair businessman, an honest businessman, and a great guy to love.
Jack was always
very kind, very responsive. And I always considered Jack a friend over the last 2 decades that we were involved together. Jack, in fact, was president of our association from 2006 to 2008. But ever since that, he's been a member, ex officio member of the executive committee of the association, and has always participated actively with his good comments and input and his leadership role in pushing the association forward, particularly looking at some of our principles, maintaining the Asphalt Association market share in the industry, and also in implementing quality improvements, innovation in the asphalt paving industry. He moved the needle in a positive direction. If he made a comment or a suggestion on taking direction, it was listened to and many times implemented because we respected Jack. I mean, he was an executive, a CEO of a big company, and yet he was never pretentious. If I had an issue or something, he talked to me like a neighbor next door.
Well, I was very impressed from the get-go about his commitment to the people that worked for him. Initially, that's what really enticed me to come on board, is something very rare, I thought, that I hadn't seen a lot of. So their commitment to the people that worked there was foremost. But aside from that, his business skills and tactics really set a high bar for me. And I don't mind telling you, he was my mentor. He taught me a lot about the business and how to be successful and how to handle people, really, which is a huge part of it, which Jack had a knack for that, for both sides of the business, the people side and the numbers side. And he set a very high bar, and he expected a lot, but he was the kind of guy that you wanted to give him a lot because it was worth it.
Jack was a very smart man. I mean, this was not his profession originally, but boy, when he started, and he was, to me, he was the financial man of the company. He negotiated a lot of contracts. He saw the estimating department to the finest. I mean, he was on every estimate that we had. He would be the last say in the estimate. He also worked with the banks for loans, for whatever, and it just grew and grew and grew. He was just fantastic with that, and he had a lot of admirers, and he knew what he was doing. He was very, very important in the purchasing of quarries. That was part of one of Jack's side items was the quarries that we acquired, the asphalt plants. He was very involved in that. It's probably one of the major points to how the company has grown over the years, and I have to give him a lot of credit for that.
You never really know what the other person does until you're not here anymore. And then you miss the little things that, oh, I didn't know he did that. So I think he made it grow because I think he believed in it. I think he was honest. I think he had some visions of, where it should go. I would define Jack's legacy through the amount of people that saw so much of him and his traits at his funeral. I didn't realize how many seeds, I'll go back to the farmers, how many seeds he sowed and how many seeds grew in the industry, and how many people knew him that I didn't even realize. But I think he did so much, and still today I probably don't know half the things he did.
Jack always wanted to be the person that was there to support you. He was always concerned with how are you doing? How's things going here? What can we do to make things better for you? It's the one thing, as I came up, I slowly moved from outside into the inside. And Jack always touched base with me, no matter what. He always took the time to talk with me and to give me that little boost of whether you needed a little encouragement or something on that order. He was always there for that, always.
Reputation's everything. Jack set the standard for that, along with Dad and Harry and Lee and Terry. That continues today, and that's what this company and what the people here and what we represent, reputation. And Jack had a great reputation. His legacy will be that no matter where you go, you'll hear, yeah, I know of that company and they have a great reputation.
Jack was a deal maker. Plain out and simple, just he would go and make a deal. I mean, the estimating team at the time was just very small, but they would get to a point, and Jack would go down, would get de-scoped, and 9 times out of 10, Jack made a deal at the table, and we won a job. I mean, that was one of his strongest suits, if you ask me. He could make a deal. He could talk to people. People trusted him. They trusted our abilities as well behind him.
He was such a people person, and there's no questioning the power of a people person to be able to get people to do things that they never thought they could do or get through a problem. And he was always that person who could work you and make sure you understood what needed to be done, but in the same breath, know that the support came from him. He always was there for us.
We're going to miss Jack. And we're going to miss not only his involvement with Papa, but we're going to miss him as a wonderful individual.
I would always tell Jack, just like I said at the end, thanks for the memories.
He was tough, but you never would have met a kinder man. I would tell him we got it done. He would know what I meant by that.
Jack was a great leader, a tremendous colleague, but best of all, he was my friend.
Jack is like a brother. Jack has been just fantastic to me and his sister, our family. Jack is a definite family man. He's just fantastic. And, I would not be where I am if it wasn't for him.
My thoughts about Jack is a great friend. I felt that. I lost a partner and a friend all at the same time. And I would say thank you.
As time goes on, you see that you're missed more and more. And the Kibblehouse name will always be there. It's always looked up to. And you're sure a good friend, a schoolmate, and a partner. And I guess I'll never forget you.